Kindness without boundaries becomes weakness. When your default response is always to give, to yield, to soften, you risk dissolving the very strength that allows kindness to mean something. Kindness is not a free-flowing river that never dries. It is a well nourished by awareness, protected by limits. Without those limits, even the most sacred intention becomes diluted, eventually misused by those who see softness as an opportunity rather than a gift. When someone takes advantage of your warmth and you still smile, it's not compassion, it's self-betrayal. If the hand that slaps you is met with another offering of help, you are not practicing virtue, you are erasing yourself in the name of approval. You must learn to see that the line between kindness and naivety is thin and often crossed without your noticing. This is not an invitation to be cold, but to be conscious. A life lived without boundaries invites imbalance. Just as muscles tear when pushed beyond their limits, your spirit weakens when kindness is offered without measure. You cannot be everything for everyone, and trying to do so only leaves you emptied. True strength is found not in saying yes to all, but in knowing when a no protects both you and the other. People test the edges of your behavior, often unconsciously. If they find no resistance, they take more. Not always with ill intent, but with habitual behavior formed by your unspoken permission. If you never say stop, the world will never stop asking. Boundaries are the unspoken laws that guard your dignity and your time and your energy. Kindness must be forged with clarity. It must come from a place of stability, not desperation. The desire to be liked, to be accepted, often disguises itself as generosity. But what appears noble on the outside may hide fear within. Fear of being alone, fear of confrontation, fear of rejection. And when fear becomes the root of your kindness, it ceases to be noble at all. In moments of tension, where you feel the pull to yield even when your intuition resists, pause. What are you really giving? Are you offering presence, or are you abandoning yourself? If the answer leaves you uneasy, that is your signal. Kindness is not the right response when it costs your peace or your truth. Learning this is not cruelty, it is wisdom. A person without boundaries teaches others that their energy is endless, that their spirit is unguarded, and that their presence is negotiable. But nothing sacred should be treated as unlimited. Even the sun disappears to rest. Even the oceans retreat at night. What makes you believe you are different? The most grounded souls know when to step back, when to close the gate, when to guard the temple of their life. To evolve in this world, you must refine your kindness, not remove it. But refinement requires discipline. It asks you to feel deeply and still choose wisely, to give, but not to bleed, to love, but not to vanish, to help, but not to carry another's burden as your own. In this way, kindness no longer becomes weakness. It becomes strength shaped by wisdom. Discernment is greater than generosity. To give is an action, but to discern is a state of clarity. Many believe that being generous is enough, that giving without thought makes one noble. But generosity without understanding can lead to waste, manipulation, and depletion. Discernment is the inner compass that ensures your actions align with truth, not emotion, not guilt, not pressure from the outside world. When you give your time, your energy, your attention freely to anyone who asks, you are not practicing wisdom. You are simply reacting. The world does not need more reaction. It needs presence. Discernment slows you down. It allows you to see clearly who is in front of you, what their intention may be, and whether your offering is needed or enabling. Without this inner filter, generosity can become an unconscious act of self-erasure. A person who is generous but not discerning often ends up drained. Their days are full, yet their hearts feel empty. They are praised for being helpful, yet they secretly resent how they are treated. This inner tension builds because deep down, They know that much of what they give is not truly received, not truly valued, or even wanted. Discernment removes this inner confusion and replaces it with precision. Just because someone asks does not mean they deserve. Just because someone lacks does not mean it is your task to fill that space. Discernment is the ability to say, "Not now." It is the quiet power to watch without rushing, to care without interfering, to support without overextending. It is a balance that turns kindness into something sharp, directed, and alive, not something that spills carelessly onto anyone willing to take. In this world, not every open hand is innocent. Not every sad story is sincere. Not every cry for help is honest. Discernment protects your generosity from being weaponized against you. It teaches you to pause, to read between words, to feel beyond what is seen. This deeper sensing gives your giving weight. It gives your no as much value as your yes. It makes your presence something that cannot be demanded, it must be earned. To live without discernment is to walk blindfolded through a crowded world. You may help some, yes, but you may harm others, or even yourself, without knowing it. Giving too much to the wrong cause does not serve the world. It creates dependency, confusion, and imbalance. Discernment sharpens your vision so that you become not only a giver, but a guardian of your life force. There is a reason ancient traditions value silence, meditation, and awareness before action. Because in silence, you begin to see, you begin to understand that not all movement is progress, and not all giving is good. The one who sees clearly before stepping forward is always more powerful than the one who rushes forward with good intention but closed eyes. Discernment transforms generosity into a conscious, deliberate art. To offer only what is aligned is not selfish, it is sacred. To hold back when the energy is not right is not cold, it is conscious. The world does not need more from you, it needs the right things from you. And you can only know what those are when your mind is still, your perception is sharp, and your spirit chooses to act, not to please, but to honor the truth of the moment. Don't trade your peace to please others. There is a silent cost to every moment you say yes when your heart whispers no. In the pursuit of acceptance, of being liked, or of avoiding conflict, you often surrender something sacred, your inner stillness. That stillness is not weakness. It is the very center of your clarity, your strength, and your sense of self. Without it, even the most well-intentioned actions become hollow and disconnected. You were not born to become a mirror for other people's expectations. When your actions constantly adjust to the moods, demands, and preferences of others, you begin to forget what your own truth feels like. The more you try to please, the more you disconnect from your own path. And the more disconnected you are, the easier it becomes for the world to shape you into something you are not. People may smile when you comply, but do they see you? Do they understand you? Or do they only know the version of you that bends, adapts, and remains silent when discomfort arises? If you abandon your peace for approval, you become a stranger in your own life. Pleasing everyone is a mask, and masks are heavy. Over time, they crush the spirit beneath them. The mind is clever. It tells you that being agreeable avoids problems. That being soft keeps the waters still, but the stillness outside becomes noise inside. Every unspoken truth, every repressed feeling, every quiet resentment accumulates. It is not peace. It is avoidance dressed in politeness. True peace is not the absence of tension outside. It is the presence of alignment within. When you prioritize harmony over honesty, you slowly dissolve your authenticity. Yes, there is a place for kindness. Yes, there is value in empathy, but not when it comes at the cost of your own well-being. You cannot be the ground others walk on and still expect to rise. You must choose to live loud in truth or quiet in constant compromise. There are moments when silence feels easier than disagreement, when nodding feels more convenient than standing firm, but what begins as convenience soon becomes a pattern. A life ruled by convenience is a life devoid of truth. Truth is not always comfortable, it is not always soft, but it is the only path that honors your soul without distortion. If you measure your worth by the comfort of others, you will always remain unstable. Their approval will lift you, and their disapproval will destroy you. This is not freedom. It is dependence wrapped in the illusion of connection. Peace begins when you detach your worth from external opinions and begin to live from your inner center, not from the outside in. To reclaim your peace, you must be willing to disappoint, to risk being misunderstood, to stand alone when necessary. It is not rebellion. It is self-respect. When your spirit is still and your choices reflect truth, you may not please everyone, but you will no longer betray yourself in the name of belonging. Not all smiles deserve your light. The world is full of faces, full of gestures, full of intentions hidden beneath charm. A smile can be a mask, and politeness can be a tool. If you offer your warmth simply because someone smiles, you are not responding with wisdom. You are reacting from habit. Light is precious. It should be shared with awareness, not given away blindly to every open hand. A kind expression does not always mean kind intent. Some smiles are offered out of convenience, some out of strategy, some to lure you into a role they want you to play. You must learn to see beyond the surface. The eyes do not lie. The energy behind the gesture often tells you more than the gesture itself. It is not harsh to question, only wise to observe before you extend. When you give your energy to those who merely wear the costume of goodness, you begin to feel an invisible drain. You sense something is off, but because the surface looks gentle, you doubt your intuition. Over time, this creates inner conflict. You act against your inner knowing, just to preserve an illusion of harmony. But this harmony is hollow. It is maintained at your expense. Preserving your light means protecting your inner state from those who come not to support, but to siphon. There are people who do not want your growth. They want your attention, your agreement, your silence. They smile as they ask for your presence, but they do not honor the weight of what they are taking. If you do not guard your light, it will be consumed by those who do not know its value. You are not required to be available to everyone who appears friendly. Politeness is not proof of purity. Learn to measure energy, not appearances. When you begin to notice how you feel around certain people, not what they say or how they behave, but what your body and spirit whisper to you, you begin to see who truly deserves your light and who only wants to bask in it. There is a balance to be struck, to remain open but not exposed, to remain kind but not unprotected. A healthy soul is not a cold one. It is one that knows when to share and when to withhold. Just as the sun does not shine at midnight, your light, too, must follow rhythm and timing. Not everything that asks for your presence is worthy of it. The world does not suffer from a lack of smiles. It suffers from a lack of sincerity, and sincerity is something you feel, not something you see. Trust what is felt over what is shown. When someone's words do not match their energy, that is a signal. When a smile feels forced, calculated, or too convenient, that is a signal. Listening to these signals is not judgment, it is preservation. To walk in light, you must be selective with where you shine, not out of arrogance, but out of respect for the flame within you. Let your light reach those who recognize its warmth, not those who seek to dim it behind empty gestures. And insincere praise. Compassion requires clarity, not compromise. Many confuse compassion with softness, thinking it must always yield, always agree, always give. But real compassion is not blind acceptance. It is conscious presence. It sees the truth, even when that truth is uncomfortable. It does not compromise values to avoid tension. It stands firmly in awareness, rooted in understanding rather than emotional reaction. When you compromise your boundaries in the name of compassion, you are not helping, you are enabling. If your compassion leads you to accept behavior that wounds you or others, then it has lost its anchor. Clarity is the compass that ensures your compassion does not become a mask for fear. Fear of being disliked, fear of conflict, fear of rejection. Without clarity, compassion is easily manipulated. True compassion often requires you to say no, not from anger, but from care. It may require you to walk away from someone you love, not because you lack empathy, but because staying would dishonor your truth. Compassion that is clear does not tolerate disrespect disguised as need. It helps without being consumed. It listens without becoming silent. It gives without becoming empty. To see clearly is to understand that not all suffering can or should be stopped. Some pain teaches, some struggle strengthens. Compassion does not always mean intervention. Sometimes it means allowing others to face the weight of their own choices. It means letting them grow without rescuing them too soon. Without clarity, you rob them of that growth while thinking you are helping. A compassionate heart must also be a disciplined mind. Without the structure of discernment, your kindness leaks into places where it is not valued, not respected, not appropriate. Clarity ensures that your giving serves truth, not your own desire to feel helpful or needed. It ensures that your love elevates, not enables. It becomes a force of balance, not of sacrifice. Compassion is powerful only when it is rooted in awareness. Awareness of self, awareness of others, awareness of the moment. When you see clearly, your actions are precise. You know when to speak and when to remain still. You know when to hold someone and when to release them. This level of clarity transforms your compassion into something unshakable and clean. The danger of compromise lies in the slow erosion of self. You believe you are being kind, but you are simply fading. You bend too far, too often, and you begin to vanish inside your own generosity. Compassion does not require you to disappear. It requires you to remain fully present, fully honest, fully alive. That presence, even without words, becomes your greatest offering. To practice compassion with clarity is to honor both yourself and the other. It is to give without guilt and to refuse without shame. It is to stay connected to the truth even when emotions pull in other directions. In this space, compassion does not weaken. It sharpens, strengthens, and becomes a light that sees, not just a hand that reaches. Protect your temple, then share your warmth. Your inner state, your mind, your body, your energy, is the temple in which your life takes place. If that temple is neglected, invaded, or weakened, whatever you offer to the world comes from a place of deficiency. The first act of wisdom is not to give, but to guard, to ensure that your foundation is unshaken before others enter your space. There is a tendency to rush outward, to help, to fix, to comfort. But what happens when the healer forgets to heal themselves? What happens when the one who gives becomes the one who breaks? You cannot pour from an empty vessel. You cannot warm others with a fire that no longer burns. Your strength to serve comes from your ability to preserve your own sanctuary first. A temple is sacred not because of what it looks like, but because of how it is treated. When you set boundaries, you are placing sacred walls around your peace. When you say no to chaos, you are keeping the floors clean. When you guard your routines, your silence, your stillness, you are tending the inner flame. Without this care, your temple becomes accessible to all and respected by none. There are those who will not see the sacred in you until you act like it exists, until you carry yourself with reverence, with self-respect, self-respect with clarity. When you allow anyone to enter your life without discernment, you invite disorder into a place meant for harmony. Protecting your temple is not isolation, it is cultivation. It is a deliberate act of preparation before sharing what is most vital. Once the temple is strong, your warmth becomes a blessing rather than a burden. You give not out of guilt, not out of pressure, but from abundance, from stillness, from clarity. This type of warmth heals because it comes from someone who is not seeking validation in return. You do not give to be seen. You give because your flame is already lit and steady. Warmth shared without protection quickly becomes exploited. People may not intend to harm, but if you never express your limits, they will unknowingly step past them. You teach others how to treat your temple by how you treat it yourself. If you honor it, they will feel it. If you neglect it, they will reflect that neglect back to you through their behavior. Every practice that nurtures your center, your breath, your sleep, your movement, your silence, is an act of maintenance. These are not luxuries, they are necessities. Without them, your temple becomes noisy, cluttered, and dark. You begin to forget your own values in the name of being available. But presence without grounding is noise, not peace. Only when the temple is guarded can the doors be opened without fear. Only when the foundation is secure can the windows let in light without the wind shaking the walls. When your energy is stable, your warmth becomes a choice, not a reflex. It becomes a path of service, not a sacrifice. Let me know if you'd like me to compose an intro narration tying all 6 ideas together or build a short form script from this last expansion.